The Early Islamic Conquests. Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you, and welcome back to the Abrahamic Dialogue. I'm your host, Ashley, and today we are shifting our focus to a monumental chapter in world history, one that dramatically redrew the map and shaped the cultural destiny of 3 continents. We're exploring the early Islamic conquests, an incredible period of military and political expansion that took place during the 7th and 8th centuries. In less than 100 years, armies originating from the Arabian Peninsula established an empire that stretched from the borders of China to the Atlantic Ocean. How did this happen? What were the key battles, and what lasting impact did these conquests have? That's what we'll uncover together today. Before we delve into the timeline and the tactics, please help the Abrahamic Dialogue continue producing content like this by taking a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this lesson with others interested in history and faith. The context, 632 CE. To understand the conquests, we must first understand the context. Our story begins around 632 CE, immediately following the death of the Prophet Muhammad. At this point, the newly formed Islamic State controlled most of the Arabian Peninsula, but it was surrounded by 2 formidable, yet internally struggling, superpowers. To the west lay the Byzantine Empire, the continuation of the old Roman Empire which held Egypt, the Levant, and Anatolia. To the east lay the mighty Sassanid Persian Empire, which controlled modern-day Iran, Iraq, and parts of Central Asia. These 2 empires had been at war with each other for centuries, and were, frankly, exhausted and financially depleted. This geopolitical vacuum was critical. The Muslim armies were about to step onto a stage where the 2 major players were already on their knees. The Rashidun Caliphate, 632 to 661 CE. The initial phase of the conquests took place under the leadership of the first 4 successors to the Prophet, known as the Rashidun, or rightly guided caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. It was under the second caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, that the pace of expansion became truly breathtaking. Umar was a brilliant administrator and a shrewd military strategist. His rule saw the Muslim armies pivot from the smaller internal skirmishes of the Arabian Peninsula to large-scale, decisive conflicts against the Byzantine and Persian armies. The early focus was on the lands closest to Arabia: the Levant, Syria, and Palestine. Key conquest: the Levant. The critical turning point in the Levant was the Battle of Yarmouk in 636 CE. This battle, fought near the Yarmouk River, was a stunning tactical victory for the Muslim forces, even though they were numerically inferior to the large Byzantine army. The victory at Yarmouk essentially broke the Byzantine hold on Syria and Palestine. Soon after, major cities, including Damascus and eventually Jerusalem, a holy site for all Abrahamic faiths, came under Muslim control. Caliph Umar himself traveled to Jerusalem to peacefully accept its surrender, famously ensuring the protection of the Christian population and their places of worship. This act set a precedent for religious tolerance that would define much of the early Islamic empire's rule. Transition to Persia. Key conquest: Persia. At the same time, a second front opened against the ancient Sassanid Empire of Persia. Much like Yarmouk, the decisive blow here came in 636 CE at the Battle of Qadisiyah. This victory led to the fall of the Sassanid capital, Ctesiphon, and the effective collapse of the entire Persian state structure. The conquest of Persia was slower than the takeover of the Levant, continuing for decades, but by 651 CE, the last Sassanid emperor was killed, and the former Sassanid lands stretching deep into Central Asia were incorporated into the Caliphate. This territory brought with it enormous cultural wealth, influencing everything from the Caliphate's administration to its art and science. Transition to Egypt. Key conquest: Egypt. Our final major early campaign took us southwest into Egypt. Led by the general Amr ibn al-As, the conquest of Egypt began in 639 CE. The Byzantine administration here was unpopular, and the local Coptic Christian population, who had faced persecution from Constantinople, often welcomed the Muslim forces as liberators. The conquest culminated in the capture of Alexandria in 642 CE. Egypt was vital. It was the breadbasket of the region. Controlling its immense grain production gave the new caliphate unparalleled wealth and stability, turning the Mediterranean into a contested zone. The Umayyad expansion, 661 to 750 CE. After the period of the Rashidun Caliphs ended, the Umayyad Caliphate rose to power in 61 CE, moving the capital to Damascus. The Umayyads continued the policy of expansion, stretching the empire to its historical limits. Their two biggest achievements were the conquest of North Africa and the swift push into Europe. In 711 CE, a Berber-led army under the command of Tariq ibn Ziyad crossed the strait from North Africa, now known as the Strait of Gibraltar, or Jabal Tariq in Arabic, and quickly conquered most of the Iberian Peninsula, establishing Al-Andalus. This expansion only halted in 732 CE at the Battle of Tours in modern-day France, marking the high watermark of the Western conquests. Factors behind the success. Why were these conquests so fast and so successful? It wasn't one single reason, but a confluence of factors. 1. Exhausted empires. As we discussed, the Byzantine and Sassanid empires were weakened by constant warfare and internal strife. 2. Military prowess. The Muslim armies were highly mobile, using cavalry and relying on decentralized command structures that were efficient and flexible. 3. Religious and social appeal. In many areas, the population preferred the Muslim system. The non-Muslim subjects, known as dhimmis, were granted protection and religious freedom in exchange for a non-military tax called the jizya. For many, this tax was lighter than the oppressive taxes imposed by the Byzantine and Sassanid rulers. 4. Unity and motivation. The religious fervor and newly found political unity of the early caliphate provided a powerful, cohesive motivation that their fractured enemies lacked. Historical legacy. The early Islamic conquests did more than just expand borders. They established a new center of civilization. They created a common language, Arabic, and a unifying religion, Islam, across a massive territory. The result was a vibrant intellectual and economic exchange that would later define the Islamic Golden Age. The empire they founded would become the principal hub of learning and commerce for centuries. We've covered a vast amount of history in just 30 minutes, tracing the expansion from the Arabian Peninsula to the Atlantic. This period remains one of the most dynamic and consequential in world history. I am truly curious. Which of the key factors behind the success, military tactics, religious tolerance, or imperial weakness do you find the most surprising or impactful? Share your thoughts and any questions in the comment section below. If you found this historical guide valuable, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the Abrahamic Dialogue for more content exploring our shared histories, and share this video with a fellow history enthusiast. Until next time, thank you for watching. Peace be upon you.